Welcome to DisCo Talk, where we're talking all things, all abilities. I'm Lana, the development manager here at Disability Co.
And I'm ALYSSA, support worker and community content creator here at DisCo.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about getting into the workforce, so super exciting stuff, yeah.
So, you have some facts for me. Hit me.
So 15% of our community are made up of people living with disability, and people living with disability are twice as likely to be unemployed than people who aren't. So it's a bit of a statistic that we can think about and maybe talk about while we're going into the topic of employment.
Yeah, I had never heard the 15%. So that's 15% of everyone in society.
Yeah, and you know, maybe some people might not see that number, as not all disability is visible.
Mm-hmm.
So that might not be something that's in your inner circle or in the wider community's inner circle, but it's a statistic. Yeah, we'll link the link down below where we got that one from the government website.
Absolutely. I think that's something that helps us put into perspective how important a lot of this stuff is, how important it is to have disability parking spaces. As you said, not all disabilities are visible, but if you think of a car park of 1,000 car parks and there's 3 spaces,
is that really 15%, 100%?
Yeah, and it may not necessarily need to be 15, but it needs to be maybe 7 to account for half of those people potentially having physical disabilities. So it's about, as we learn these things, looking in the world around us, and do we see accessibility for that 15%? Can they get around the world and have the same opportunity as what able-bodied people do? And that's what we're working towards. Yeah. But you told me a pretty cool story. And this is not a little bit ago, but it's, between a couple of months or as long as you've been working with us, and then also currently. But tell me about Mr. Matthew Barber, your participant.
Yeah, so Matthew is someone who I work alongside, and he's brilliant. He's really kind-hearted, and he has a lot of support around him, and he is starting his own business.
How does that happen?
Yeah, so Matthew went to... when he was in school, was doing some programs around garden care and lawn mowing, and then after school he went on to do an NDIS provided work placement.
That's
which was cool. So all lawn mowing and gardening and all that sort of stuff, and Matthew does all the gardening at home. He loves it, he enjoys it. It's really his space. We all have them sort of things that we love, and gardening and lawn mowing is Matthew's one. So Matthew got put, after being 4 years in placement, he got put onto a employer's...
like an employment agency
sort
of thing?
That's it, an employment agency. And he was there for 12 months with no success, which is all right, especially during these COVID times. So instead, he decided to start his own business. So Matthew's been pretty good at saving up his money, and he's backed himself. He's brought all of his equipment with the help of his brother and his mum and dad. He's been able to register a business, and at the moment he's working into slowly transitioning into that business. So finding the right support staff to help him with that, as well as getting into the rhythm of doing that. So super exciting stuff.
But I definitely know there's no way he would be doing that if it wasn't for you actually working on shift with him. I mean, I've heard things from his parents and whatnot, and they go, "Oh, that ALYSSA, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for her." But it's. Do you think part of it is people not realizing what they can do on shift with their support worker?
Yeah, 100%. There's, it really is. For you to reach your goals, what are we putting in place? And one of Matthew's big goals is to be able to buy a house. He wants to buy a house.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a big goal, and he wants to be able to do that and be financially independent. So to be able to do that, he needs to be working, and he'll be able to do that. So basically that goal, when I was told it, I was like, whoa, cool, like me too, man. Like, that's one of my goals as well. Let's work on this together. So during shift, we'll do a ton of things, from going to getting his phone plan sorted, to getting business cards printed.
All that setup stuff.
Yeah. So, he wants to do it. He knows that's what he wants to do. So really, I'm just helping him access these things safely. And he really enjoys it. He loves talking about his business. He's a chatterbox when you get him out in the community for a nice walk. He'll be an absolute chatterbox. And yeah, he's super excited himself. But as I said, slowly transitioning. So buying his first home, he's going to try to become financially independent, and he's got the support around him to do that.
Do you think people don't realise that they can set goals like that in their NDIS plan?
Yeah, at times I think people might just be maybe going with the flow, and we really want to encourage people to dream big. That's something that I will encourage my future children and my nieces and my nephews to dream big, because you can really achieve anything you like, and if you get the support there to back you, it will happen.
Yeah, what I really love is, I know that's on the hearts of all of our support workers, that if someone has a goal, that they are truly there to empower them, but being able to inspire people as well, to be able to dream big, like you said, and set those goals. Do you reckon people get stuck in not believing in themselves enough, or thinking that they're dreaming too big, and they just don't do it?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of us can all struggle with that, and not really believing in ourselves. And if you surround yourself with the right people, you will feel as though you can achieve anything. And I think anyone can achieve anything.
Yeah, I guess having, particularly when it's maybe support workers that you're with a fair chunk of your time, having the right ones that are there to back you is so important. What's that saying? You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
And so picking those people is really important. I think it would be, I'm sure there'd be a whole bunch of people that don't feel like they're actually getting that support from the people that they're with.
Matthew's parents have brought that up quite a bit as well. A relationship is really important between a staff member and a participant, and making sure that maybe even if it's just similar interests, you're not there to be another mum and be a carer in that sense. You're there to be someone who uplifts you and works beside you. So I think we definitely do have that relationship, and I think that everyone should search for a support worker that they do have that relationship with.
That's so good. I saw on your Instagram the other week, something like that, you did a review of a book, and it was about sort of the history of employment with people with disabilities and whatnot. So
I read
that's
this.
Awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that book. I read this book. It's called Being Human, and it's by Judith Human, who was one of the most influential disability right activists in the US. So around like the 60s and 70s era. I can't imagine what it would be like in that era. I mean, the world has changed so much in a good way. I'm going to focus on the positives, but it's just incredible to her side of things. And tell me. And the thing is, things have changed so much, and I think we all really owe it to people like Judith, who things have changed so much because of people like her. So she lives with polio, and she uses a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And she found it really hard to get into a mainstream school using her wheelchair. And they did class her, now once again this was back in the 60s, they did class her as a fire hazard for having a wheelchair.
As a fire hazard?
Yes. Yeah, not good at all. And then
how the world has changed.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
And once again, all really because of people like her. The next thing that happened was, once she'd finished school, she went on to want to be a teacher. Her teachers were a real influence on her. And when she went to go get her teacher's license, so she did all her studying, she went to go get her license. Once again, the Board of Education in New York actually consider her a fire hazard as well. Super disappointing. And she ended up suing the Board of Education, and that let out on newspapers everywhere, and she got heaps of people coming to her that live with disability themselves, and it created a real movement. Judith is one of the reasons that we have discrimination acts in the US, and obviously follow along. There are discrimination acts to make sure that people aren't being discriminated because of their disability. And she ended up actually suing the education department.
Oh my word.
Yeah, and it was all over the newspapers. She had a lot of traction in that, and people coming forward to her, sharing their stories. And she is some of the reason that we have accessibility acts, so making sure the government buildings are accessible, discrimination acts, making sure people aren't discriminated against. And she is a real winner in that one, and a real activist.
She's a real hero for
100%.
the community, really, isn't she?
Yeah, and I would recommend the book to anyone. So it's called Being Human, and she also features in the Netflix series. Was it a documentary? Oh, I haven't watched it for about a year now. It's called Crip Camps, and it talks about the camp she went to when she was younger, and community, and how they made that change back in the 60s and 70s.
That's amazing.
So I really, you should watch it.
All right.
Yeah.
I think probably one of the biggest things is just getting people to dream, and knowing that they can ask their support workers to dream with them and support them and help them, whether it be something as big as Matthew and wanting to do their own business, or even just help them put a resume together and read over it, or literally just facilitate conversation for them to dream. It's really important that people feel like they can do that they're not silly for doing that. And I feel like that's for everyone. That's not, like you said, even with yourself, there's sometimes a real lack of inspiration. Who am I to dream big? But we're all so incredibly individual and special. Who are we not to dream big?
Exactly, I love that. Who are we not to dream big?
Yeah. So I just really hope that, who knows who is listening to this right now, but hopefully it inspires someone to dream big, whether it is someone with a disability or even if it's someone who's not, that you can go after whatever you want to go after. If you can see it, you can do it.
Yeah, and if you're a part of our community and you want to get in contact, or click the links in the description to help you get into the workforce, we're happy to help. And even if you want to speak to your support worker about that, you just let us know and we'll be happy to help with that.
Absolutely. Well, we have a few more things coming up in our next couple of episodes, but this is good. I'm enjoying this, and I'm so happy that we have this space. If there's anything that you guys want us to speak about or facilitate conversation around, pop it in the comments. Also, let us know what you think around this. Have you found it hard to get into the workforce? Are you wanting to? What obstacles have you come across? Or your amazing wins and stories? We want to hear them all. So thank you so much, guys.
So whatever platform you're streaming from, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and let us know what you think.